Fred, our buddy Dan in Zanesville earlier this year sent us some wonderful pictures of his wildflower garden that he had planted. But now he's asking, how should he go about cutting down the wildflower plantings for regrowth in the spring? It's a mixture, he says, of perennials.
Well, now I'm going to start in a facetious way. Either get out the hedge trimmers that are handheld, or get out the electrics. Now, that's a start, Dan. Now, I'm going to be serious with you. There are different heights, and with your garden, and as I remember, a mixed garden, there are plants that will have a crown at ground line. There are a few, like the peonies, where the main crown is just below the ground, and then there are the grasses. And I don't know quite how to differentiate, but by and large, it's just a matter of rogue cutting. I'm going to start with the grasses. Some people enjoy the grasses during the winter, as I do. They're done being green. They're the amber waves of tan now instead of upright and so on. Mark mentioned the splaying out factor. Grasses can do that too. Now, there are grasses that are anywhere from 10 to 12 inches tall to 15, 18 inches tall. I'm just going to take the group in general. And what I do is to leave them alone till spring, period. Now, there may be a little management, but I leave them alone. Then when I come to cutting down grasses, I go based on what I knew them to be in height the preceding year. And I tend to cut them then, the little fellows at 12 to 15, 18 inches, you can cut off down at an inch above the ground. You don't want to get into the crown, which is right at the ground line. Then as we move up in size, I like to leave more what I'll call stubble at the bottom for the taller ones. Sometimes you can help that splaying out factor that Mark mentioned by actually leaving a taller bunch of stems, so that on those that are 5 and 6 foot tall at this point in time, I'd probably leave 4 or 5 inches of what I'm going to call stalks or stubble at the bottom. When it gets up into the big guys that you might be using for screening, even for up on deck height and so on, you might be leaving 2 feet. Rarely any more than that. But you do that, of course, early spring before there's any growth. So any time from now, if they're starting to be ratty looking in general, on through, March, when you are preceding any new growth coming up through, leave a little base, and that will help keep some of those plants more bunched in, more upright. Now, that is for the first 3 or 4 or 5 years. Thereafter, you hire a couple of strong college boys, buy a case of their favorite beverage, and have them come in and help you dig them, divide them, and replant the good pieces. Grasses can be a challenge. So anyhow, let's go with your cutting question. I'd leave enough base based on their expected height, which will be a little bit more the second year than the first year.